The Meltagun, also called a fusion gun, melter, or cooker, is a powerful, short-ranged anti-armor weapon that produces an intense, energetic beam of heat in the tens of thousands of degrees centigrade. The Meltagun is used by the Space Marines, the troops of the Astra Militarum and other military forces of the Imperium of Man, such as the Orders Militant of the Adeptus Sororitas. Melta weapons emit devastatingly intense but short-ranged blasts of heat which can melt through almost any material. A Meltagun works by inducing a minute, submolecular reaction within a highly pressurized pyrum-petrol fuel mix located within an ammunition canister, and then projecting the resulting plasma through the canister and from the weapon's barrel as a blast of incredible heat. Melta weapon usage is always accompanied by a distinctive hissing sound as the Melta beam boils away the water in the air, then a roaring blast as the beam reduces the target to charred scraps or molten slag. Meltaguns are the premier Imperial anti-armor weapons, and few, if any, vehicles can withstand their power. Functionally, the Meltagun has more in common with a plasma gun than a flamer. While the flamer is used to incinerate large numbers of foes at short range, the Meltagun is used to attack point targets, destroying heavily armored vehicles at short range by literally heating the vehicle's armor into slag and melting through to vulnerable internal components. Meltaguns work by firing a blast of pure fusion-based heat energy that can vaporize most organic troops and even melt adamantium. Melta weapons are often carried by tank hunting squads and are used as a special weapon by other squads. There is a larger version of the Meltagun, called the multi-melta, which has both an increased maximum range and is more effective as an anti-armor weapon compared to the standard Meltagun, at the cost of portability and ease of use. There also exists a pistol version of the Meltagun, the dreaded Inferno pistol. However, the secrets of miniaturization necessary to manufacture Inferno pistols are all but lost to the Imperium. As such, only the highest-ranking members of the Inquisition, Adeptus Sororitas and Astartes, are allowed to wield such a treasured weapon. Lord Dante, chapter master of the Blood Angels, is the most famous user of such a potent pistol. Known Meltagun patterns: Acatran pattern Mark 8 Meltagun, a commonly used Meltagun pattern manufactured by the Acatran Forge World and utilized by the Imperial Guard regiments of the Elysian Drop Troops. Conflagration pattern Meltagun, crafted in very limited numbers by Enther Calibos. A Techmarine of the Salamanders chapter of Space Marines garrisoned aboard Watch Fortress Arioch in the Jericho Reach. These compact, high-output Meltaguns have gained favor among those battle brothers of the Death Watch lucky enough to have wielded them. Reflecting the fine workmanship and deep love for cleansing flame of their creator, these powerful weapons have higher penetration and damage output than other Meltaguns at the expense of higher energy consumption. Forge Bite pattern Meltagun, similar in function to the Vulcan pattern. The Forge Bite pattern Meltagun is a common variant utilized exclusively by the Astartes of the Space Wolves chapter. Mars and Mazoa pattern Meltaguns, as Meltaguns are less prone to failure than plasma guns and work best at shorter ranges. They are also prized by raiders and corsairs, where close-in fighting and boarding actions are often the norm. The Meltagun is an ideal weapon for cutting through bulkheads or armor. Most use a built-in fuel canister like the Mars pattern Meltagun, but the Mazoa pattern Meltagun that uses a backpack to hold the hydrogen fuel is also common. Traitor Legion Meltagun. The Chaos Space Marines make good use of Meltaguns, though they favor a larger version of the weapon dating from the time of the Horus Heresy that can unleash a more powerful heat beam upon a target, dealing greater damage. Ultima pattern Meltagun. Another common variant of the Meltagun, the Ultima pattern Meltagun, is similar in design to a Vulcan pattern Meltagun. This particular variant has earned the nickname Tank Killer for its effective use against smaller armored personnel carriers. Vulcan pattern Meltagun. Meltaguns are the most common form of melta weapon and are found in use by many Imperial forces. They are less prone to catastrophic failure than plasma guns and work best at shorter ranges. An ideal weapon for cutting through bulkheads or armor, the elite Space Marines of the Death Watch have proven to have no end of uses for it. The Vulcan pattern Meltagun used by the Death Watch uses a built-in fuel canister, but versions with a backpack attachment are also common. Zephyrus Mark I Beamer Meltagun. The Beamer model of Meltagun was an attempt to create a longer-range Melta weapon that was still light enough to be easily carried into combat. Using fragments of decaying scrolls describing several ancient design patterns, and after much divination and prayer, the Zephyrus pattern was developed. Though it still uses specialized gases melded and ignited into a submolecular thermal state, this weapon features a longer barrel with a radiation beam surrounding the gaseous discharge. This low-level radiations acts as a harmonic wavefront for the superhot release, allowing it to strike at longer distances. The necessary tuning for the beam to match the discharge proved impractical in the field. However, and only those willing, or able, to spend many hours of difficult correction after prolonged use still stand by the weapon. Almost no fighting units still utilize them despite the superior range, and their manufacture ceased after the first production run. Now prized as trophy weapons, some still see use as part of elite mercenary groups or inquisitorial kill teams.